Is anybody actually consuming your marketing? Not just seeing it, consuming it. You really should know. Good morning, everybody. Today, Ruby and I are walking and talking about marketing success, conversations I'm having right now. And in the last week, I've had conversations with some marketing people who are leaning back into more traditional methods of doing marketing. And at face value, meh. Brochures turned into advertising, turned into radio, and on and on. And so I get a little set of the willies when I start hearing some of that. Not to say that it's not helpful, that it couldn't work. Not going to say that. But I need to know if it works. And it really depends on the context. So some very niche industries where there's, documented data that tells me that there's some consumption of traditional media based upon a demographic or a buyer type, or, I'm not going to be against that. It's not a thing I'm going to be against. As long as I can prove out, did anybody actually consume that content? And that's a hard one. Did they actually consume it? Not saw it, actually consume it. So, my statement, as the train goes by, is what is it that we want someone to do if they're going to see our advertisement on page 17 of a trade magazine or whatever, outdoor media, whatever. What do we want them to do? These traditional media companies will tell us circulation numbers and traffic data and all this kind of stuff, which is fine. However, it doesn't tell me who actually consumed my marketing. So, translating that into something that could have a little bit more of a digital spin to it is a good idea. So, for example, can we take that traditional conduit, which is maybe an advertisement in a magazine or whatever, drop a QR code on that to a landing page that tells me exactly what that human being did when they got to our half-page ad on page 17. That's a more interesting use of the medium at a price point that I can afford as a marketer. If they're charging me a bunch of money to do that, hell no. So, understanding what that means is really valuable. So, what do we want to do with that information? So if we want to do radio, not inherently against it in, call it a more rural setting. Rural radio, in my opinion, one guy's opinion, works. It's a thing. People will listen to rural radio way more than they will in the urban settings, simply because it's not just about the latest Taylor Swift song. It's actually a community tool. What's going on in our community, because it's rural. However, when we take that into a wider audience, and I say this with all respect, I have a vehicle that has Sirius XM in it. And I've had that vehicle for a long time, 2017. I have not listened to 1 minute of local radio in that amount of time. Not 1 minute. So I'm a focus group of one, so don't buy into that. But what I want you to think about is, where does that fit for you as a business? Easy there, buddy. So, using this information, what do we want to do? How do we want to take this to market? So, if we're going to spend money in traditional media, does it actually get consumed? Same goes for our work in the digital space. Impressions are great. Did it actually get consumed? And that to me is the most important piece of the puzzle. If you don't know if it was actually consumed, then it's really hard to know what that means. So if I look at these videos that I'm doing, there's lots of impressions. I get lots of impressions. Watch time on these videos? Some might say that's meh. I say people are busy. Not everybody is going to like what I'm having to say, and that's okay. Bottom line is, I want to know what's resonating. How does that data tie back, and what can I do with that information? So, what's actually getting consumed. So if you're a marketer and you're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, you're going to have to spend money on a lot of these things. If you're going to spend money on a lot of these things, what are we going to actually understand? So there's the data points, the engagement, the likes, the shares, the comments in the digital space for sure, but that's only a starting point. What is actually getting consumed? Is that marketing being referenced in any other format? Are you getting things and data points that help you understand that somebody actually watched that video, read the ebook, whatever? This is where you want to start taking things. So we want to take the high level data points like engagement and like impressions and things along those lines and turn it into what does that engagement model look like? Is it something that people like? Is the 5-minute video getting watched all the end of the 5 minutes, or is it getting stopped at 30 seconds? It's not a problem necessarily, but you might want to reconsider how you put content into those first 30 seconds if that's the case. Anyway, enough for today. Think about that. Look at your data. If you're going to leverage traditional media, which it sounds like there's a lot of people trying, okay, make sure that those tiebacks happen. Make sure that you're getting the things that you need out of that engagement with that platform or tool or whatever, because you want that channel to have the maximum value back to the business. And if you don't get that, guess what? Problems. Waste. No budget spend. Anyway, enough for today. Ruby says, we're going to keep walking. All the best. Walking and Talking with Ruby.